Speed, power, heart, and pure dominance. Boxing has given us some of the most legendary athletes in history. From lightning-fast footwork to devastating knockouts, these fighters changed the sport forever. In this video, we're counting down the 20 greatest boxers of all time, ranking them based on skill, achievements, and impact on the sport. Do you agree with our list? Let us know in the comments. Before we begin, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Now let's get into it. 20th place, Willie Pep. One of the greatest defensive fighters in boxing history, Willie Pep was a master of movement and agility. He won an incredible 229 fights, with 65 of them by knockout, and held the featherweight title for several years. Known for his elusive footwork and ability to win rounds without even throwing a punch, Pep was nearly impossible to hit cleanly. His legendary rivalry with Sandy Sadler showcased his resilience and technical brilliance. Despite suffering serious injuries in a plane crash, he continued boxing at a high level, cementing his place as one of the sport's all-time greats. 19th place, Jack Johnson. Jack Johnson was the first black heavyweight champion and one of the most significant figures in boxing history. He dominated opponents with skill, power, and an unshakable confidence, breaking racial barriers in a deeply segregated era. His 1908 victory over Tommy Burns made him the first African-American heavyweight champion, and his 1910 win over Jim Jeffries in the fight of the century was a landmark moment in sports. Johnson's flamboyant lifestyle and defiance of societal norms made him a controversial figure, but his impact on boxing and civil rights remains immense to this day. 18th place, Jack Dempsey. A ferocious and aggressive heavyweight, Jack Dempsey was one of boxing's first true superstars. Known as the Manasseh Mauler, he revolutionized the sport with his relentless pressure and devastating punching power. He held the heavyweight championship from 1919 to 1926, famously knocking out Jess Willard in brutal fashion to claim the title. Dempsey's fights drew record-breaking crowds, and his battles with Gene Tunney, including the famous long count fight, remain legendary. His influence on boxing's popularity in the 1920s helped shape the sport into what it is today, making him one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. 17th place, Floyd Mayweather Jr. A defensive mastermind and one of the most technically gifted boxers ever, Floyd Mayweather Jr. retired undefeated with a 50-0 record. His ability to read opponents, counterpunch with precision, and avoid damage made him nearly impossible to beat. Winning world titles in 5 different weight classes, Mayweather defeated greats like Manny Pacquiao, Oscar de la Hoya, and Canelo Alvarez. His defensive style and business acumen made him one of the highest-paid athletes in history. While some criticized his cautious approach, his dominance and longevity in the sport are undeniable, securing his place among the all-time greats. 16th place, Henry Armstrong. One of the most relentless fighters in history, Henry Armstrong was known for his incredible work rate and non-stop pressure. He achieved a remarkable feat by holding world titles in 3 different weight classes simultaneously: featherweight, lightweight, and welterweight. Armstrong had an astonishing 151 wins, with 101 coming by knockout, and his ability to overwhelm opponents with aggression and stamina was legendary. His fighting style made him one of the most exciting boxers of all time, and his dominance across multiple divisions remains one of the greatest achievements in the sport's history. 15th place, Lennox Lewis. A dominant and highly skilled heavyweight, Lennox Lewis combined size, power, and technical ability to rule the division in the 1990s and early 2000s. Standing at 6 feet 5 inches, He used his strong jab and ring IQ to outbox opponents while possessing knockout power in both hands. Lewis defeated every fighter he ever faced, avenging his only 2 losses to Oliver McCall and Hasim Rahman. Wins over Evander Holyfield, Mike Tyson, and Vitaly Klitschko solidified his legacy. Retiring as the undisputed champion, Lewis is regarded as one of the smartest and most accomplished heavyweights in history. 14th place, Rocky Marciano. The only heavyweight champion to retire undefeated, Rocky Marciano finished his career with a perfect 49-0 record, including 43 knockouts. Though smaller than most modern heavyweights, he compensated with incredible endurance, toughness, and knockout power. His relentless fighting style and brutal right hand, nicknamed the Susie Q, helped him defeat legends like Joe Louis, Jersey Joe Walcott, and Ezzard Charles. While critics argue about the level of his competition, Marciano's ability to win in any circumstance remains legendary. His legacy as one of the toughest and hardest-hitting heavyweights in history is unquestioned. 13th place, Joe Frazier. A relentless pressure fighter, Joe Frazier was known for his incredible left hook and non-stop aggression. He won the heavyweight title in 1970 and famously handed Muhammad Ali his first professional loss in the fight of the century in 1971. Frazier's trilogy with Ali, especially their brutal third fight, the Thriller in Manila, remains one of the greatest rivalries in boxing history. Despite being undersized for a heavyweight, his grit, heart, and relentless attack made him one of the toughest champions ever. His wars with Ali and George Foreman cemented his place in boxing history. 12th place, Evander Holyfield. The only 4-time heavyweight champion in boxing history, Evander Holyfield is known for his incredible durability, skill, and warrior spirit. He first became the undisputed cruiserweight champion before moving up to heavyweight, where he defeated legends like Mike Tyson, Riddick Bowe, and George Foreman. Holyfield's 2 fights with Tyson, including the infamous ear-biting incident, were among the most talked-about bouts in boxing history. Despite being smaller than many of his opponents, his heart, resilience, and ability to take punishment and keep fighting made him one of the greatest heavyweights ever. 11th place, Roy Jones Jr. Roy Jones Jr. was one of the most athletically gifted fighters in boxing history. With lightning-fast reflexes, power in both hands, and an unorthodox style, he dominated multiple weight divisions. Jones won world titles from middleweight to heavyweight, an extraordinary achievement. His peak performances in the 1990s, including dominant wins over James Toney and Bernard Hopkins, showcased his unparalleled skills. His speed and showboating made him one of the most entertaining fighters of his era. Though his later career saw losses, his prime was nearly untouchable, earning him a spot among boxing's elite. 10th place, Roberto Duran. Known as Hands of Stone, Roberto Duran was one of the most ferocious and skilled fighters ever. He dominated the lightweight division before moving up in weight to win world titles in 4 different weight classes. Duran's aggressive style, granite chin, and ability to brawl or box made him a nightmare for opponents. His legendary victory over Sugar Ray Leonard in 1980 showcased his brilliance, though he later shocked the world by quitting in the rematch. Despite ups and downs, his longevity and dominance across decades solidify him as one of the greatest fighters in history. 9th place, Marvelous Marvin Hagler. A southpaw with incredible power, durability, and skill, Marvelous Marvin Hagler was one of the greatest middleweights ever. He held the undisputed middleweight title for nearly 7 years, defending it 12 times. Hagler's aggressive yet technically sound approach made him a dominant force in the 1980s. His wars with Thomas Hearns, Roberto Duran, and Sugar Ray Leonard are legendary, with his 3-round battle against Hearns being one of the most action-packed fights in history. Despite a controversial loss to Leonard, Hagler's legacy as a true warrior and dominant champion remains undisputed. 8th place, Julio Cesar Chavez. A Mexican boxing legend, Julio Cesar Chavez was an unstoppable force in his prime, amassing an incredible 89-0-1 record before his first loss. With relentless pressure, an iron chin, and vicious body punching, Chavez dominated the super featherweight, lightweight, and light welterweight divisions. He won world titles in 3 weight classes and had memorable battles against Meldrick Taylor, Hector Camacho, and Pernell Whitaker. Chavez's never-say-die attitude and ability to break down opponents made him a fan favorite and a national hero in Mexico. His endurance and technical prowess make him one of the best fighters ever. 7th place, Sugar Ray Leonard. One of the most charismatic and skilled boxers of all time, Sugar Ray Leonard combined speed, power, and showmanship to dominate the 1980s. He won world titles in 5 different weight classes and defeated legends like Roberto Duran, Thomas Hearns, and Marvin Hagler. Leonard's tactical brilliance was on full display in his rematch with Duran, where he made the Panamanian legend quit. His controversial yet strategic win over Hagler cemented his legacy as one of boxing's greatest minds. With dazzling combinations and a fearless fighting spirit, Leonard remains one of the most complete fighters in history. 6th place, George Foreman. A 2-time heavyweight champion, George Foreman was one of the most feared punchers in boxing history. His raw power and relentless aggression led to a dominant early career, including a devastating knockout win over Joe Frazier to claim the heavyweight title. Foreman's shocking loss to Muhammad Ali in the Rumble in the Jungle briefly derailed his career, but he made an incredible comeback. At age 45, he regained the heavyweight championship by knocking out Michael Moorer, becoming the oldest champion in history. Foreman's longevity, knockout power, and second career resurgence make him an all-time great. 5th place, Joe Louis. One of the most dominant heavyweight champions ever, Joe Louis reigned as champion for an astonishing 12 years. His technical skill, knockout power, and composure in the ring made him nearly unbeatable in his era. Louis defended his title 25 times, a record that still stands. His 1938 knockout victory over Max Schmeling in a politically charged rematch symbolized triumph against Nazi Germany. The Brown Bomber was a hero to many and helped elevate boxing's global status. His longevity, skill, and impact on the sport make him one of the greatest heavyweights in history. 4th place, Manny Pacquiao. The only 8-division world champion in boxing history, Manny Pacquiao's achievements are unparalleled. Starting as a small flyweight, he rose through the ranks with speed, power, and a relentless fighting style. Pacquiao's legendary victories over Oscar De La Hoya, Miguel Cotto, Ricky Hatton, and Juan Manuel Marquez solidified his status as a generational talent. His ability to adapt and win titles across multiple divisions is unmatched. Beyond boxing, Pacquiao's humble personality and political career in the Philippines have made him a global icon. His mix of speed, power, and relentless aggression place him among boxing's greatest ever. 3rd place, Mike Tyson. A boxing phenomenon, Mike Tyson was the most feared fighter of his era. At just 20 years old, he became the youngest heavyweight champion in history, destroying opponents with terrifying speed and power. His signature peekaboo style, taught by legendary trainer Cus D'Amato, made him nearly untouchable in his prime. Tyson's reign saw brutal knockouts, including memorable wins over Michael Spinks and Trevor Berbick. Despite personal struggles and losses later in his career, his dominance in the late 1980s was unmatched. Tyson's ferocity, knockout power, and cultural impact make him one of the most iconic boxers ever. 2nd place, Sugar Ray Robinson. Often regarded as the greatest pound-for-pound fighter in history, Sugar Ray Robinson was a near-perfect boxer. His combination of speed, power, footwork, and ring intelligence was decades ahead of his time. Robinson won titles at welterweight and middleweight, dominating both divisions. His 91-fight winning streak is legendary, and his wars with Jake LaMotta, including the famous St. Valentine's Day Massacre, showcased his brilliance. Robinson's ability to knock out opponents in any round and his fluid, artistic boxing style set the standard for future generations. His influence on the sport is unmatched, making him one of the all-time greats. And in first place is Muhammad Ali. The greatest boxer of all time, Muhammad Ali transcended the sport with his charisma, skill, and impact outside the ring. Ali's lightning-fast footwork, incredible reflexes, and unmatched confidence made him a revolutionary fighter. He became the heavyweight champion 3 times, defeating Sonny Liston, Joe Frazier, and George Foreman in legendary fights. His iconic victory over Foreman in the Rumble in the Jungle displayed his tactical genius. Ali's refusal to fight in the Vietnam War and his activism made him a global icon beyond boxing. His legacy as the greatest is not just... And that wraps up our list of the 20 greatest boxers of all time. These legends left an unforgettable mark on the sport, inspiring generations of fighters and fans alike. Do you agree with our rankings, or do you think someone else should have made the list? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more amazing boxing content. And don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss our next countdown. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.